Any chance?
And this is Heather from AZ and NIGP. So Michael, I have a question. So when awarding points to events, when I look it up, it only shows that you award it to the entire list that's signed up.
You have to award it to the entire list that attended, not that signed up.
Yeah, that
so
attended,
you have to mark attendance.
But how do you do that? Because not everybody attends.
Right. When people show up to the event, you need to have somebody there marking attendance. Or you can do it after the fact. I mean, it doesn't matter how you do it. Here's what I would do.
All right, Mike, I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. If you aren't speaking, do you mind putting yourself on mute? Because we're getting some background noise. So, sorry.
Sure.
Okay.
So basically, when you set up the event, you set it up and saying that you want to track attendance. That's this setting right here. Then as the admin, when people are coming in for the event, you can go to mark attendance and you can start marking the people who have registered as attended.
Michael, sorry to interrupt, but you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. I totally would have kept going and going and going.
Sorry, I'm letting people in and wasn't paying attention. I would have let you know. So sorry.
Clearly, I wasn't paying attention either. So let's go back. We're going to go back to the beginning here. So when you first set up the event, you want to make sure you set it up so that you're tracking attendance, which is this setting right here. And then when that's set, as the admin or coordinator for this event, as people are coming in, you have the option of clicking on mark attendance, and then you'll get a list of everyone who's registered, and you can just start marking them off, checking them and saying that they're attended. If you choose, there's a couple of different ways you can do it, of course. If we go back to that event, and we can go to reports here, then we can do, there's one called registration list to check off attendance. So you can have literally somebody, just standing at a table or as people are coming in, and they'll have a PDF file that they can literally just check off people as they come in. So they'll have a list and then you can just check them off. They're here, they're here, they're here. The people. So then what's important is that now you know who's attended and who hasn't. So when you go to the points tracking module and you import from the event, it's only going to assign points to those people who have been marked as attended. It does not assign points to those who have not been marked as attended.
Okay, we have people sign up the day of, and then we actually do attendance, marking the attendance afterwards. So just
and you can actually, can do both of those at the same time too. So if we go back to that event, and I go to mark attendance, I can find member and I'm just going to do a generic search here. So we'll say Ronnie says this member is not registered for this event. So you can register them and mark their attendance at the same time. And it'll automatically generate a transaction for them to pay for the event. So that's assuming they didn't register ahead of time and you want to be able to register them on site and also mark their attendance at the same time.
Okay. I have another question, if that's okay.
Sure.
So I've tried finding videos and they're 2 or 3 years old, and then I've been trying for 6 weeks to watch a video on member and vendor reimbursements, but I can't because it keeps getting pushed out, or we didn't get notified of the next date. And when I go and I look under members, where is it at? It was money in the money tab, and it was something. I got to pull it up. Sorry. It says multiple miscellaneous charges and credits.
Okay.
is that where you would credit or reimburse that person for not being able to attend, the member? Is that correct?
Let's talk about what reimbursement means. Are you talking about actually refunding back to their credit card, or are you just issuing some sort of a credit to them? Some like a membership credit.
Refunding back if they can't attend an event. So we have our annual conference on Thursday, and there's some that can't attend, so they want their money back on their card.
Yeah, so in that case, you have to cancel the registration because you have to cancel the transaction that was used to generate the payment. So in this case, it was an event. So you cancel their event registration. It will automatically issue a credit back to their membership. And then you'll go into the open credits module. And if we go into money and go to open credits, you're going to see their credits here for their membership. And then I don't know which, are you using a ClubExpress merchant account? You have your own merchant account?
We have our own merchant account.
So then you're going to see a green icon on the right-hand side here next to their name. You're going to click that green icon, and that will issue the refund back to their credit card.
Excuse me, can you please repeat that again? Okay, if you have to issue a refund to someone who can't attend, where did you begin at?
We start within the event itself. So they've registered and they paid for the event. So what you have to do is you have to go in and you have to cancel their registration. Then the system will automatically issue a membership credit to them. So basically it's like a store credit that they can use for future purchases or whatever. But if they want it refunded back to their account, to their credit card, then you have to go into this money and to go into money and then go to open credits. And you're going to see it listed here. And then if you have your own merchant account, you're going to see a little green icon here that says it's a refund icon. You're going to click it and it will issue the refund back to their credit card. If you're using the ClubExpress merchant account, then you're going to see a button up here that says you're basically going to have to fund your refund account. So, because basically what happens when somebody makes a credit card purchase, right? The money comes through ClubExpress and then we send it over to your bank. If you want to issue a credit now, we have to take that money out of your bank and put it into a refund account for you, which you can then issue the credit card refund against. And that takes like 2 or 3 business days to do. So
quick question on that, if I can. If the credit's issued to the person, it kind of sits in their profile, right? As an open credit.
Yep.
Can you use that for a different person within their organization?
If it's the primary member and we have that option turned on, yes. Because it is an option where you can say, any membership credits can be shared with the primary on that membership. If I remember right, I think it's in money options. Let me just make sure. Yeah, right here. Credits are used by the member who earned them, or credits are shared by all members in the same account.
Okay, so that brings me to another question. This is Kaliska with OPPA. So we're in our first sort of like membership renewal cycle since we've had ClubExpress. And we have, like for instance, I'm with DAS and there's like over 60 people in our organization that need to pay their invoice. But we would like to have one person be able to pay it. I've watched the video a couple of times and I feel like I don't quite have a grasp on like how to make like a primary versus secondary. And then I think we found a workaround too. So what is the best way to have that happen? Because it sounds like in the instance you were just talking about, we would need a primary person to be assigned to a group of members so that we could transfer that credit within the organization. Is that right?
Yes.
And to be clear, all of our people are primaries. We don't have any secondaries right now.
Yeah, in that case, they basically, they're going to pay for each other or for themselves.
Okay.
So what you're doing then is within People Manager, you're going to do level changes. And when somebody is the primary, that's fine. Everybody's a primary, right? But when you need to start linking people to primaries, you're going to link a solo member to a primary, because consider, as of things the way stand, everybody stands right now is everybody's a solo member. So now you have to link them to a primary. So you're going to take the secondary and you're going to identify the secondary member. And then you're going to identify the primary member that they're going to be linked to. And you're going to do that for all the members that are in that membership.
Okay,
The
and
primary
so
member is
everybody
always
would
going to
be
be the same.
secondary under it. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
and then
except-
everybody would be a secondary under it so that they can still use the functions that they need to in there.
Exactly. Yep. Because secondary members are still full-blown members. They don't have, there's no limitation on them except for renewal. And that's it. So that's the only thing that's taken out of their hands is renewals then handled by the primary.
Okay, perfect. And then question, what if the person paying isn't an OPPA member? Can they still pay for them in that same manner, or is there a separate way we would need to set that up?
The primary member must be a member within our database. So
Okay.
whether they're truly an OPPA member or not, that's, I guess that's a board decision, but they must
Okay.
be a member within our database. Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Sean, you had
Click.
your hand up? So sorry.
Yeah, going back to the credits, if we have credits on the open credit screen, but a refund was already issued through the Stripe account, how can we clear them out?
Oh, that's good. Good question. Let's go to, I'm going to see if I can find somebody who has an open credit, and I'm not going to mess with it, but at least we'll see. Okay, so we got some open credits here. And see, this is that green icon I was telling you about. So you can refund right here. I'm not going to do that though. Let's say that for whatever reason, you guys issued a check or you credited it directly, you issued the refund directly from Stripe without doing it through ClubExpress. You're going to click on the pencil and you're just going to mark it as refund. And that means that the balance or the amount was refunded through another method.
Thank you.
And that'll clear it out. Yep.
Heather? Heather, you have your hand up?
Yeah, sorry, I just was trying to get my mic
Nope,
turned back
that's
on.
okay.
Sorry about that. So what about vendor reimbursement? Is it the same way as member reimbursements?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because vendors are going to have, they have a membership. Well, they don't have a membership. They have a non-member record. That non-member record will have a credit on it, just like a member would, that they can use for future events. Or if you want to issue the credit, the refund back to their credit card, they're going to be listed right here as well.
Okay.
Heather, did we want to talk about the contact us page?
Sure. So, Michael, I got word from the executive board on our contact us page that they didn't like it. In our old system, we were able to put pictures next to everybody. And in this one, I don't see how, and we don't have a description of what the executive board is responsible for and the board of directors as a whole.
That's because those are handled by a separate module. That's all handled in the committees module. So if you go to committees, this is where the purpose of those committees where it would be. So you'd list the board members and what the purpose of the board was, and then you can view the members and their photos will appear here. And it's all managed by the system instead of having someone have to manually edit a custom page. If you want, you can create a custom page for it, and then someone has to manually edit it, and which is going to drive that person nuts, I'll tell you. But if you want the system manage it, then it's all done through the committees module, but not through Contact Us.
Okay, so I just have to add a committee because I don't have a committee labeled as executive board or board of directors. So I just have to add another committee.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
So you're going to go into control panel, go to the people tab, go down to committees, and then you click on Add Committee.
And can you link to that on the Contact Us page so that if they wanted to link to those bio in the photos and all of that, can they do that on the Contact Us page?
We don't do that because again, they're separate, very separate modules. In our system, they're very distinct purposes. But what you could do is if you don't want Contact Us to be here, you could just create a link to the board itself. And so instead of, let's go to committees and we'll go to board. And let's say you want this Contact Us to instead go here. You're going to grab this URL and you're going to build an external menu link. We're getting into a completely different area of the system. So if you want, I can go over it. But then when people click on that link under contact, it can take them right to the board member page. What you're losing, though, is this information, which is in the Contact Us, which would be a form, that isolates your contact information so people aren't contacting you directly. But, if you're not using that or you don't find that a lot of people are using it, then maybe just link directly to that particular committee.
Does that help, Heather?
Yeah, I'll just add in the new committee for the executive board and stuff like that and kind of see how it goes, because I think people are using that Contact Us page, that form at the bottom, to send emails out. So I don't want to lose it yet.
Sure.
Anyone else have a question?
Here's another thing we can offer that within the committees as well. So if we go into this, we can allow people to send emails. So if we were to say, yes to chapter members, and I go back here, I'll go to committees, board members. Now I have a button here that says send email to members, and it's going to email everybody on the committee. So maybe they have a question for the board. I don't turn it on by default because, do you guys really need to get all that many emails? But it is visible always to committee members only. So anyone who's on the board can email everybody who's a member of the board.
Sean, you have your hand up?
A question about events. Is there a way to automatically close an event from future registrations on a specific date and time?
Yeah, if we go back to that event I was picking on before. And if you go to registration and fees, and then for the registration dropdown, it's the first option on the page, you're going to choose required by close date. And then you'll have an open date and a close date that you can select. You can leave the open date empty, but the close date you will want to fill in on whatever date and time, and it's your local date and time that you want the event to close on.
Heather?
Thank you.
Sorry, late question person. So for committees, we typically wipe out the members and start over in January of the people that want to sign up to be on a committee. In the old system, we were able to accept and deny people and then also close it when we've had enough volunteers for that committee. Is that an option on here?
Basically, when you allow people to sign themselves up, you're just basically saying they can sign themselves up. So you don't have the ability to approve them. However, if you see somebody on the committee that you ultimately don't think is a good fit, you can remove them from the committee as the admin. You also have the ability to limit the membership, and you can say, well, this committee is limited to 8 people. And then you can, once you hit 8 people, then no people can add themselves to the committee. What a lot of organizations too is they also track dates. So if you have people who serve on a committee for a specific date or time period, then you would also have a termination date. So the system would automatically handle when they were no longer active on the committee, and it would open up other slots if you had limited membership as well.
So I just need to go in there once we clear out members, when we reset it and just go and do some of it with limiting, because I know there's some of our committees that are limited.
Okay. And then what you might want to do, especially if you're going to track dates, is don't remove the members. As long as they have an expiration date, basically it becomes part of your history, right? It's part of your record. So you can keep them there. They're just not active members because their term has expired within that committee.
So where's that at? Because I didn't do that when I was pulling over members. Is it?
Yeah, so if
When
I'm going to enable it. So I enabled tracking dates and I enabled limited membership. So now if I go to the board, I have term date, start date, and end date. So if I click on a member, I can enter when they started and when their term ends for that particular position or that particular slot within the board. And then when it expires, again, they're no longer active members of the board. They're still active members in the organization, just not within the board. But you still have their history here. So you can see that Kaliska King their term has ended, but they were president of the board at some point. So, that history is there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Francis, you have your hand up?
Yes, so this is Francis. I'm from the NMPPA. We're rather new with the software. But I do have a question regarding the invoicing. So we're having a conference here shortly, and we have individuals not being able to generate their own invoices. Is that a setting that the admin has to change, or?
No, everyone can do it themselves. They probably just don't know how. So if we go into, well, I'm just going to look up some people who haven't paid yet. So on anyone who registers, see all these event registrations that are unpaid? When they get to the payment page, it looks literally just like this, right? All they have to do is click on this button that says print invoice. And they can print it for a number 10 envelope or a number 9 envelope. And then when they get it, they've got an invoice that they can, put in with their check and mail it off to you guys. It's pretty straightforward. They're just overlooking it.
I did figure out how to do that. However, I was testing a couple individuals, and so I was able to, like, I have a couple people in my office that I was able to test that with. And yes, I was able to generate the invoice from their sign-on. But now I have another individual that I'm getting an error when they hit the PDF, when they go through all those steps.
Is it an error 500?
Yes.
Yeah, that means that Adobe Reader has updated the software on their computer, but not in their browser. So
Okay.
basically, they either need to remove Adobe Reader and reinstall it, or
Okay.
they just disable it from their browser and it'll automatically come up in the desktop version.
Okay. Real quick, like another question is in forwarding all our members over into the new system, we have some members who are duplicated. So do I just change their status to expired, or is there a way to delete them? And I'm asking because, and you can test one, her last name is Patterson.
Here we go.
Right. So when I put expired on one of them.
Yep.
But if you go into the active one, it's giving her a message that she has an email for 2 different.
Like if she tries to. It's a bad email address on that one anyway. One or more invalid email addresses. Do they both say that? No. Okay, so that one's good. This one's bad. This other one's bad. And that's fine because we don't need that one anyway. It's a duplicate, right?
Yes.
So we're going to get rid of that. Save it. So we got rid of the email. So here's what I do. Just click on their status and choose drop.
Okay.
And duplicate because it's a duplicate record.
Oh. I don't know why. I guess I didn't see the drop one, but okay, thank you.
And I'll do that for her. So she's dropped now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sean?
I have a question about exporting I guess the people manager. Like when you're in the people manager, you can click on that action button that's just next to the page, and you can
Yeah.
export a CVS. But it doesn't include all of the fields that are in a member profile. Is there a way
Correct.
to do that?
If you go to Control Panel, go to the Chapter tab, and then go to Data Export, go to People, and then Active Members, the third option. This is going to give you way more information than you ever wanted. So
Does
you're
that
going to have
come out
all
as a CVS file?
it's a
CSV
CSV,
file?
yeah, a CSV file, yeah.
Perfect,
Austin,
thank
did you have, yep. Austin, did you have a question?
I did, and I think it was covered just as I was logging in, so forgive me if I'm asking for a repeat here, but I was wanting to see what methods there were for recording attendance. We've got a conference that's next week, and I just want to make sure that we are doing it as efficiently as possible.
Sure. So basically, once you turn on registration and fees, go to registration fees and make sure you have track attendance turned on for the event. Then when you have somebody on site at the event, you can have this event panel open and you're going to see this button that says mark attendance. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to search for the member. And when they come up with a list of members, they either they're either marked as registered and you can mark their attendance very easily, or if they walked in and they haven't registered, then you can register them and mark their attendance at the same time. And then it'll also generate a transaction that they need to pay. But if like this one, nobody's registered for this event yet, but if they had, there'd be a list of people here that you could just basically go down and check, and then mark them as attended as they walk through the door. Alternately, if you want, you can go into the admin pop options, go to reports, and we have a report called registration list to check off attendance. And then you just generate that PDF report and then have somebody standing at the door with a pencil and a clipboard and check them off as they walk in. And then you can go back later and you can mark their attendance.
What was the scan with camera button for?
That's if you have enabled or purchased the membership cards, then we can actually scan their membership card as they're coming in, and you can use your phone or tablet or whatever you have there to scan their membership card and record their attendance.
Okay.
Kaliska, you had a question?
I do. We have a member that would like to change her username, and could you just go in and sort of demo how we would do that? Because I think that our member's just maybe missing the instruction a little bit when she does it. But I just wanted to maybe see it so that if she was to call one of us, we could at least have seen it and kind of help her through it.
I'm going to do this on my test site. This is my test site, so it's ugly because I use it for all kinds of testing. So, but what you do is as the member, you have to go into your own profile. And when you go to your profile, you go to, here it is right here, username and password. It's a big button. And then right here, you can change your username and change your password.
Okay.
But it's in the profile and it's not something that admins can do. So that's only a button that the member sees when they're logged into their own profile.
You gotta get out of here.
Okay.
And then one of the things that's important as the admin to know that if I were to go into this profile, which is my own profile through People Manager, for example, if I go to which one is it? Right here. I don't have access to that button if I go through People Manager because I'm going through as an admin. The only way I can get access to that button is to go through my profile from this link in the upper right corner. And now I have that button.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good to know. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Francis, did you have another question? You have your hand up.
No, I didn't have one, but I'm sorry, one more time, Michael, on that username. Where do you find that? I kind of lost you on that.
Yep,
If you wanted to change it.
In order to get to the change your username, you have to go into your own profile and you go into the upper right corner where your name is and choose profile from the drop down. I know I kind of blew through that very quickly. I assume everybody knows what that is, but I shouldn't make that assumption. But yeah, you're going to click on profile and then you're going to have this option here under your profile called username and password.
Okay, so the member can change their own username and or password, right?
That's
we
correct.
as admins don't have to. Okay, thank you.
Yep, you can't actually. You don't have the ability to do it.
Okay, well, I've been resetting passwords for them.
Yeah, you can do that. And then if you do that, then when they log in, they can change their username at the same time they change their password.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Francis, if you want to lower your hand, I won't bother you again. Anyone else have a question?
Fucking pissed off.
This is Valerie. I do, as long as Tina hasn't already asked it.
Yeah, please. Absolutely.
All right. So we're in the process of doing an event. And we're discovering some very interesting and odd and not so happy quirks. We've allowed other members to register members other than themselves for the event. And what we're noticing is when I send out an email for the event through the event, the email does not go to all the people who are registered, but the people who did the registering. So if, let's say, Susie Q registers 6 people from her organization, she would be the only one that gets the email.
Correct.
So that's problematic. So how do we get around something like that other than me having to try to come up with a list and hand create a list so that I can send a mail merge outside of the system?
What is the distribution list that you're selecting?
I just wanted to, maybe this is where I messed up. I just want it to be the people who are registered for the events, not who did the registering, but the people who are supposed to attend.
Right. Yeah, I'm just trying to look.
If I can add on to that, I also send out invitations to the Teams meeting based on the registrant's email. That's the way I used to do it. So I'm curious also if I have to send out the invitation to the Teams meeting from the list of emails, how would I do that?
This one, everyone registered for this event should include everybody.
Okay.
But if you're choosing like
maybe I selected the wrong one.
And then, or registrants too.
All registrants who, well, actually not attended, so we don't know yet that because that hasn't been checked in, but.
All registrants who have paid for this event should work as well.
Okay. All right. Perhaps I had selected the wrong one. All I know is that not everybody got it. And so then that brings me to my next question. I am trying to do, I was trying to print from the event the list of people who are attending so I could check off attendance. And again, the list was really wacky because it also lists all the people that did the registering, but not necessarily are coming. So
you need, well, that's where it helps to know the difference between a registration and a registrant. A registration, if you're printing a report that says registration, you're only going to get the primary person doing the registering.
Okay.
If you do a report that says registrants, then it's going to include the people they are registering as well.
But also them.
And also them, yes.
Which is problematic because they're not necessarily attending the conference.
Well, but that's the way the system has to work.
Gotcha. So event registrants, because that's what I clicked on, and I was getting absolutely everybody, but I guess I would just go through there and cross off the people that were not actually attending and not worry about them.
Yeah.
Okay. All
So,
right.
So Michael, that registration list to check off attendance that you're showing right there, that would not include all registrants necessarily. It would only include those people who have registered others.
Interesting, because it should,
Yes.
shouldn't it?
It should.
It should. So that's why I'm asking you.
Well, it does. It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
It shows if you want to pull this up, I don't. Oh, you don't have mine up there. It will show the person who did the registering, and then like is a little sub below the names of the people they registered, but it doesn't give an easy way to check them off. It's like everything's kind of buried, and it's kind of hard to read.
That's probably something that's going to have to go in as enhancement. I don't have a solution for that. So I'm going to make some notes here
Yeah.
because that is something that's just going to have to be built.
Yeah, it's a little cumbersome the way it is now. You can't literally just print out a list of the people, the registered attendees, you know?
Sure.
If you don't pick the registration, but you pick the registrant by activity report, it does give you a little bit better
Yeah,
reporting on it.
yeah, but then again, it's still not in a nice, neat, concise format. It's kind of couched in there.
Sure. Yeah, I will get that sent over for you guys.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Karen, you had your hand up?
Yes, thank you. So San Antonio just recently put their website on, so we're still trying to figure our way around things. So, Michael, I know you talked about the videos on YouTube, but is there any other documentation that's available, like hard copies of like how to do things?
If you go into the support tab under control panel and go down to manuals, there are quite a few manuals that are
Okay.
built, that are built into the system. There's some new how-to guides. You can get the administrator manual. You can actually download the full administrator manual if you really want to, but it's like 1,200 pages long, so I wouldn't.
Okay. Okay, perfect. No, we just because some of the videos that we watched were just it I don't know, maybe my brain wasn't set up for it, but it just was hard to follow some of it. So
Sure.
so the manuals is a good start. I did want to make a clarification that on job postings, that's a separate module that we would have to purchase, or is there a way to put job postings out there other than through like an email distribution?
Some of the chapters are using the forums for job postings. So they'll create a brand new forum called job postings, and they'll allow their members to post job postings there. And then they'll make it so that the forum itself is visible to the public as well. Public can't post, but they can, look at the posting.
Okay.
Then so that's like a no cost way to do it. One of the chapters I know has just a custom page they created that they post job posting to. The problem with that is that someone has to update it, right? So
Right. Okay.
but
No,
then there is the jobs posting module, like you said. And I think, if you reach out to Ronnie can talk to you, because I think they've worked out something with ClubExpress for that. But I think
Okay.
Ronnie would have to be
Yeah.
the one you discuss that with.
yeah,
and
but
Michael, you can just add that to their site, Michael.
Okay, which site was that?
San Antonio, SAPA.
Got it. San Antonio and
Kentucky would like that also, Michael.
And Kentucky. Okay, I'll get those added this afternoon.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
Oregon would like it as well.
Okay.
Oregon would like it as well. Thank you.
Okay, you got and Oregon.
While we're at it, why not Oklahoma?
And Oklahoma. All right, you got it. So then what you're going to see is you're going to see a new module under chapter called Jobs Board. Oh, just like this one. Look at that, Jobs Board. Oregon, you already have it.
All right, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah.
And thanks,
Ellen,
Ronnie.
there's a bunch of them posted out there too.
Oh, good.
And
So
then
then what we'd want to do
actually,
is probably put, it's even on your menu. So if you go to the menu,
Look at us.
yeah, there you go. You're way ahead of the game.
Oh,
But there's no
Perfect.
automatic email pushes when new jobs get posted, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
I believe you can have a contact person set. But yeah, I mean, where would it push it to? It's not, we are
To
very,
membership, just a membership blast of, hey, there's a
Yeah.
job open.
we're very, very sensitive about sending out too many emails because we send out a whole mess of them as it is. So we really don't just blast out emails, when a new one comes open. So you could, if you want, once someone like when this contact finds out that there's a new posting, when Brianne gets it, then you could maybe have her set up to send out an email to everybody, or maybe once a week.
Okay. I was gonna ask, so what is the point? Like if members don't know to look there, to go and look there, how else would they be notified? So so at least an email when a new one's posted would probably be helpful to the membership, right?
Right. And this is actually a good point to bring this up, because like a large number of the chapters that came over from Chapter Manager have the option. They were tracking whether people wanted to find out about job updates. And so it's in the additional member data, which is a question called email preference job ops, right? And if the member then chooses that they want to get notifications, then what I would do is in the emailing module, you're going to create a new emailing. Let's see if you have a draft I can play with. Here's a good, we'll just grab this draft here. And I'm going to choose a distribution list. That is people who have answered a question. I got to find it. Specific answer to a club question. The club question is email job ops, and the answer, yes. Now I can send an email, and I have, I'm relatively certain that these people have agreed to receive those emails, and I can just send them the
Oh, okay.
emailing with that information of the new job postings.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
And
Okay, thank you.
once it's been created, you can use it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Question email job ops, right? And then you just copy it, and then you can, you have those settings all over again, so you don't have to recreate the wheel each time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Michael, could you just show how a member can post their own job from their profile?
Oh, good question. So if a member goes into their profile, and I'll just pick on, let's see, Andrew here. Within their profile, they have this link called Jobs Board. They're going to click on it and click on Add Job. And the form will come up for them to enter all the information that's relevant about the job. And then they have the option to read the posting policy, because a lot of organizations want to post a posting policy, like, about what types of jobs are appropriate and durations and, things like that.
But you can set it up that the job has to be approved before posting, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sean, you have your hand up? Oops, you're going to show that. Okay.
Yep. Posting requires approval right here.
Then it would go to the contact person there. Yep.
Yep. Brianne would get the email saying this so-and-so just posted a job. Please go in and review it. And then Brianne would then approve it. They'd go to the jobs board module to approve it.
Sean?
Yeah, I have a question about the bad email module. When you're in there and you have a bad email and you click to maintain it and you adjust the email to something new, replace it with something, does that update the person's profile? And do they also get a resend of the email that came back as bad, or is the email not sent at all?
There is not an attempt to resend the email. Basically, once somebody ends up on this list, unless it's a temporary undeliverable, there is a specific category called temporary.
Yeah, I've seen those as well.
If they end up on this list, chances are pretty good we're not going to email them at all anymore until they get off the list. So you click on maintain, and your options are to change it to another email address, because maybe they've changed agencies. and you enter the new email address. But this doesn't immediately change their profile. It will within a couple of hours. But the quickest way to do it would be to go in and also edit their profile. Because if I look at Brenda Brown here, right, they're on the list. And if I go to People Manager and look at Brenda Brown, I can still see that she has one or more invalid email address. But if I click here and I change it and update it, it does change it in the bad emails module. So it goes one way quickly. It doesn't go the other way quickly. I have no idea why, but that's the way it works. So it's
I did it both.
Yeah,
I did it both ways, and it didn't update. I didn't see that it updated the profile, and then I went in and updated the profile manually. But I didn't wait like an hour or so.
Yeah, if you update it here first, then it will update it in both places quickly. But if you update it in the bad emails module first, it can be quite some time before it updates it in the profile.
Okay.
So
and then
for
temporary.
Speed, yeah,
Sorry?
for Speed, yeah, for temporaries, we will attempt one more time to send it. And if it bounces a second time, then it becomes a permanent block.
Okay.
Or and not permanent, but you know, we don't attempt any further.
When the attempt or the second attempt comes back, does it come back as an invalid address, or does it give you a bad email notification again?
Sometimes we only get, or we only provide what the server provides us, their email server. So we don't know. Sometimes it comes with more information. A lot of times it doesn't. It might still say temporary failure, but you know, 2 temporary failures in our book, like right here, is a temporary failure. 2 temporary failures means we're not going to attempt it again.
Okay. But does the system tell you that it was the second time and it failed the second time, or does it just say
No, it
just say
doesn't.
temporary? Okay.
Yeah, it still says temporary failure.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Not a bad email addresses here.
Any other questions for Michael?
Michael, hey, it's Dawn. Hey,
Hi.
where do you find this bad email address listing?
Control panel, go to the communications tab, and then bad emails.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. I didn't see where you started. Appreciate
Oh,
it.
sure. Sorry about that. Yeah, I know. I blow through it so quickly sometimes.
No, you're fine. Thank you.
And then if you go to reports under communications, you can also print out the list. So you can say, you know, members with bad emails right here. And you can print out the list. That way you can kind of distribute to a couple of people, break it up and say, hey, let's reach out to these people and find out what's going on.
Michael, from your list that we had that you had made up about things to discuss in office hours, we had titles and contact us. Since we don't have any questions, we could go over that.
So yeah, it's actually a really cool thing that I think gets confused. If we go into the chapter tab and go to titles, in here, we have all these titles with people's actual email addresses. And this becomes kind of a management problem because when these people are no longer in this position, someone has to go in here and edit it and change it. So it works better if you have, and I know you're not going to have email addresses for everybody, but let's say the president is president@oppaoregon.com. Then all we have to do is president@oppaoregon.com. And then I know that's the club president. I save it. When I do, then this no longer has to be changed. Then all I have to do is go into control panel, chapter, contact us. And when the president changes, it's no longer Kaliska. All I have to do is change it to the new member, whoever that's going to be, and assign the new member to that title. And everything just works. It's also important then that we also are using the title email address and not the member's email address. So that's going to make your management of change within your organization so much easier. That way you don't have to keep coming here and updating the titles, and then you have to go to contact us and update the contact. Just cuts back on a lot of that.
So I have a question about that. This is Kaliska. So does that say president@oppa.org or whatever, does that count against our, because I know we can only have a certain amount of general emails, like 5 of them or something. Otherwise we get charged for
Right.
email addresses. So we already have those labeled. But like, so if we were to do something like that for either each committee or president or whatever, then we would need to add additional email addresses there. Is that right?
That is correct. But
Okay.
keep in mind that they're only $5 per email account per year. So if you were to add 12 more email addresses, that's only $60 a year. That makes your job a heck of a lot easier. So it's totally up to you guys whether it makes sense to do or not, but
Sure.
it can make your job so much easier to do. And
Yeah,
keep in
I
mind, the
agree.
first 5 are always free. So it's always the additional ones that we charge for.
And perfect. And then if we were to add those, would we just get an invoice at the end, or would we need to, how would we start that process? Would we just get an invoice at the end of the year, or?
No, you send an email to support@clubexpress.com and ask for it. And then we automatically bill the bank account that's on file.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. I
And
appreciate
then
it.
that
Thank you.
becomes your, whatever the cycle date is. So whatever the annual date is. So if we bill it today, for example, then next year at this time, you'll see another bill for it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Can I ask a question related to that?
Yeah.
And it might be more geared to Ronnie. So Michael, based on another training you did, we have an email set up for events. And so I made a member, and that member's email is events@oppa.whatever. And so when I send out a, hey, we're getting ready for fall conference, I can make it come from events at, and it comes to Stephanie and I that are listed in those 5 emails. So it comes to both of us, but that way it's not showing our work emails every time. We're not having to put our name associated with it. And so part of my question there is, I also don't want to get charged for that as a member, which, at the end of the year, NIGP pulls the list and typically figures out who's an NIGP member and who isn't. So I'm wondering how that looks.
If it's just an email address, right? If you're just going to email accounts and setting up the email address, so events at forwards to these people, that's.
But I made a member.
Yeah, then you're going to be charged for that member, right? So, you're paying a monthly fee for the members, or actually NIGP's being charged a monthly fee for the members. So that member would be included in that total. So why did you create the member? I guess I don't understand that.
You said to create a member if you wanted to be able to send an email blast from events@oppa, because my only other option to send an email blast is to pick my name or somebody else's name.
But if I go now, so doing it from here, you can just put in events at, and you don't have to have a member. But if you are, there are situations where, yes, you do have to select a member. So if I were to say it's an ad hoc form, for example, and I created the ad hoc form, there is a place where I select a person. I have to select a member from the list. And if that member is events at, then that member is events at. And then any, ad hoc forms that are filled out, the notification would go to that distribution list, which would be whoever's on that list of events at. So yeah, in cases like that, you do have to have a member who's created with that email address, but purely for just emailing purposes, you do not. There must have been another reason. There must be a fine a finesse that I was trying to point out of why we had to do that. I can't offhand remember what it was.
We trying to see, maybe we were trying to see what a member saw, like so we were trying to see the member side of the email versus, or the system versus like what we were seeing. Was that maybe it?
I don't know, because you can just log in as a member.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. There are situations where you do need to have a member for notification purposes. And if the email address of that member is a distribution list, then everybody in that distribution list would get that notification. But for emailing, it's not required because you can just enter in an email address of who's sending it. Okay. Now, there's some other things to look at too within titles. In each column where it says Pres, Memder, Tre, Web, and Depot, you can have at most one yes in each column. So right here, we've got 2 yeses in this column for DPO. That means the system is confused and it doesn't know who to send the notifications to. Fortunately, not much goes out from DPO, but if it were, it wouldn't know who to send it to. So it's important that you only identify one yes. And so in this case, if there's only one yes in the column, but you want it to go to multiple people, you want to go to president, vice president, then what you're going to do is you're going to go back to contact us and you're going to say, okay, well, right now, Kaliska is the data protection officer. I'm going to add a new contact, and that's also going to be as a data protection officer. And then they will both get the notifications when some DPO related issue comes up. Does that make sense? I would assume so. I haven't heard anything.
No one's asking any questions, so.
Yeah. But it is important that you only have one yes in each column, especially when it comes to membership, because if you have a membership committee or a membership chair and there's more than one yes in the column, I have no way, and the system has no way of predicting who's actually going to receive that email. And it will be only one of them, but I don't know which one.
Well, thank you, Michael. I think we've actually come up on our hour. Oh, Donna, you have a quick question?
Yeah, follow up on that. So if we have created like a test member account that we use to see what members see, how do we not get charged for it? Do we have to just remove it every year so that it doesn't show as a member and then reactivate it, or?
You're only charged for active members. So when you're not using them, expire them. And then when you're ready to use it again, make them active again. And you're only charged at the end of the month. So if you're doing all the testing up until the 28th day of the month and then you expire them, they're not going to be included in your accounts.
Okay, so we're getting charged. That's a charge for every month. I guess this is news to me. So you said charge and it made my radar go up, and
Sorry.
now I'm no, it's okay. So
the way it's set up right now is NIGP is paying your monthly membership dues.
Yeah.
So that the charge is going to NIGP. It's not going to your chapter. But they are being charged for your active members, and they get charged every month on the last business day of the month, based on the active members you had for that on that date.
Okay.
Yeah.
So certainly, if you have extra members, expiring them so that we don't get charged for it is probably ideal, right?
That's prudent, sure.
Okay.
Yep.
That was the first I've heard of that, so thank you.
Gretchen, you have your quick question?
Yeah, follow up to that. Talking about the charges and NIGP charging by membership. I assume we're still going to be filling out our data forms to NIGP every year, and that's where they're getting our billing to bill us.
Yeah, that is separate, Gretchen. That would be something you would complete and send to Jennifer. Yeah.
Okay, so they will not be tapping this system to do the
down the road, I think that's a goal, but it's not something that's in place at the moment.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Well, thank you, everyone. Another great office hours. Thank you, Michael, so much. This has been
Yeah.
amazing. We will
You're
do
very,
this
very
again.
welcome.
We will do this again in 2 weeks' time. I will send out a reminder. I will also have a video that Michael is so great to remember to do. And so if anyone wants a recording, that will also be available. So thank you, everyone. And hopefully we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you, Michael.
Yep. You're very welcome. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Bye.